Hello there and welcome back to Bolts for Bucks. My name's Stephen Bresnaugh and today it's Winchester Model 70 versus the Tikka T3x. Now the Model 70 comes in several different models, or versions I should say, some featuring fiberglass stocks made by B&C and some wood high-end stocks made of walnut and maple. Then the Tikka T3x comes in basically a polymer stock, or now they have some wood stock versions, laminate stock versions, and chassis versions available. However, both these rifles actually fall. Now this happens to be the Winchester Model 70 Super Grade, but if you look at the cheaper base model of the Winchester Model 70, it actually falls in a really close price category as the Tikka T3x. Now this one happens to be a Tikka T3x Super Light with a really, cheesy rattle can paint job, so try to ignore that while we're going through this video. Now, basically, the Winchester Model 70s usually weigh just over 8 pounds, whereas the Tikka T3x Lite comes in much lighter at just over about 6 pounds, but it does depend on which version you get. Now, first we're just going to go over the basic fit and feel of the Tikka T3x versus the Model 70. So, first we're going to make sure this is empty and secure here. And let's talk about the butt pad. The butt pad on the Model T3x is stiff, but still has enough smushiness to reduce felt recoil. Now let's go ahead, and this has a Packmeyer decelerator recoil pad on it. I would say this is a little more beefy, feels a little bit better. So I'd say the recoil pad on the Model 70 is better. Then let's go ahead and take a look at the stock. Okay, the Tikka T3x has a polymer fiber reinforced stock. It's not a true fiberglass, but it is a better grade polymer, basically more rigid than your cheaper Ruger American stocks or Savage Axis stocks. So, it's nothing amazing, but it is free-floated, fully down the barrel channel, and it gets the job done. Also, they offer some modularity with the grips on the stock. This one happens to have the walnut hardwood stock. It's just gorgeous, has beautiful check rating. This is really more a classic design stock versus your modern hunting stock, but it's just beautiful with that ebony forend. And I would say the stocks on all the Model 70s are going to be of a higher quality, either aesthetically or materials wise, than the Tikka T3x is. Then you go ahead and let's look at the actual, how the action feels when it's ran. Okay, wow, Tikka, it's so smooth. I mean, look at this. It's insane. But it has a little bit of a loose feel to it. Larger tolerances, has I believe a 70-degree bolt throw, so it has a pretty short bolt throw, which is nice for quick operation and scope clearance. Has a nice hollowed out area here to shed some weight. Definitely a lighter rifle than the Model 70, but that would depend also on what version. Certain versions, such as the Tikka TAC A1, have a chassis or whatnot, so it really depends a lot on the version. Now let's go ahead and, wow, that's really smooth. Now, one thing quickly to note is the action is controlled round feed on the Winchester Model 70, and it's push feed on the Tikka T3x. So one uses basically a Mauser-style extraction system with a huge claw extractor, and holds and controls the round or the casing all the way from the time it picks it up out of the magazine and then ejects it. Whereas on the Tikka T3x, much like a Remington 700, a Howa 1500, it's push feed where it just pushes it out of the magazine, and then it just kind of pushes it into the chambering area, but it's not under complete control. If you are curious as to which one's better, or pros and cons, go ahead and check out my video on controlled round feed versus push feed. But anyhow, this is incredibly smooth. I would say it has a more refined, expensive, tighter tolerance feel to it, but it's not any smoother than the Tikka T3x. Also, the bolt lift is 90 degrees, so you have a little less clearance and you have to lift up on the bolt handle a little more but I would say both are equally good there. Now the bolt handle on the Winchester Model 70 is a nice large bolt handle that's got knurling on it. I think it's a little bit nicer than the Tikka T3x that's just like this teardrop design. But now let's take a look and see how the triggers feel. Once again, making sure it's safe and empty. Okay. Wow, really, really nice trigger. I believe it's adjustable down to 2.5 pounds. Single stage trigger, 0 creep on this one, and very little over travel. Excellent trigger. Usually they come from the factory set at about 3.5 pounds, 3.25 pounds. Let's try this one, make sure it's empty. Ooh. I'm actually going to say there is 0 creep and less over travel on that trigger, and it's single stage also than on the Tikka. So I'm going to say the trigger in that aspect is nicer. However, the Tikka trigger is more easily adjustable and adjusts lower than on the Winchester Model 70. Design, now let's take a look at how the safety works. This has basically a pre-Model 64 or pre-64 Model 70 design, and it has a wing style safety that's off to the side on the bolt itself. And one thing I noticed with this is it's very hard to get into some of the positions. It's very stiff. Now I think with use that would loosen up. It's very high quality metal safety though. All the way forward, you can fire and operate the bolt. One in the middle, you can operate the bolt, but you cannot fire. All the way back, it locks the bolt and it keeps it from firing or from the trigger being pressed. Now, on the Tikka, it has a 2-position safety here on the side. It feels nice, it's easy to operate. All the way back, locks the bolt and puts it so you can't, it makes it so you can't pull the trigger. Forward, you can operate the bolt and fire the trigger. I would say the safety is a little higher quality on the Winchester Model 70, but both work very well, and I like both safeties. Now, let's talk about the design of the receiver. Now, if you want to know what it looks like out of the stock and all of these things, go and check out my other video reviews that are specific to the Winchester Model 70 or the Tikka T3x or so on and so forth, or the Howa 1500, the Savage Axis. I have lots of videos where I take it out, but for this video, I'm not going to take the rifle out of the stock because they're bedded and I don't want to mess with that bedding right now. The receiver on the Winchester Model 70 is all one piece, forged steel, and the recoil lug is part of the receiver. It's all one piece, and it's huge. It's got a flat, huge recoil lug that's just beefy and very well made. The forward action screw goes just behind the recoil lug in a recess to give it added strength, and the bottom of the receiver is all flat, which I just feel like is about as good a foundation as you can get out of any bolt-action rifle. I would say it's absolutely superb. Now, with the Tikka T3x, it's actually like basically their receiver is a piece of metal that's just been, you know, machined or whatever. That's a piece of like bar stock, and then they put a recoil. Their recoil lug is a separate piece of steel that sits in a groove in the plastic or wood or whatever stock, sits in a groove in the stock, and then sits in a groove in the receiver and literally just is like floating in that groove. And sure, when you tighten everything down, it should technically be, you know, a good foundation, but really that is my least favorite version of a recoil lug system in a bolt-action rifle, and it's just very cheaply done. Now, moving to the bottom metal on a Tikka T3x, there is no bottom metal, at least not on their more budget-friendly models. It's just a plastic trigger guard. I think they may have changed that to metal in recent years, but this is all plastic. It takes a polymer single stack magazine, which feels really cheap, but it does work and is very reliable. And yes, you can have, you know, extra magazines in your pocket or whatnot, and you know, there's pluses and minuses to that. The Winchester Model 70 comes with a all high quality machined one-piece metal trigger guard, very well made, very, very well made, and a nice beautiful floor plate. Also, one thing to note is that the wood, the Model 70s that come with a wood stock are spot bedded with glass bedding that's done very well. It fits just like a glove. And the other versions, I believe, come with a fiberglass stock with a aluminum bedding block. So very, very nice stocks on those. Both have cold hammer forged barrels, I believe. I know for sure the Model 70 does. Both can shoot equally precise or accurate. That can come down to ammunition, the shooter, the conditions. There's so many variables there. They're both extremely accurate and easily capable of sub-MOA accuracy with factory ammunition. And if you want to see shooting with both of these, go ahead and check out the individual reviews on my channel of both these rifles. But both are easily capable of good accuracy. You might be like, well, in the video you shot a smaller group with one or the other. Maybe it was ammunition, maybe it was me. It's so subjective to say that. So objectively, both are very accurate. I would say the Winchester Model 70 is just made better, better materials, better quality and workmanship, and just has an amazing design based off of the Mauser 98. Hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to hearing back from you in the comment section below. If you do...